Barbora Bajciova is the #1 arm wrestler in the world. Today's video, I want to ask the question, can Gabriella Vasconcelos ever take the title back? And if so, how would she go about doing it? Now, of course, we've known that Gabriella Vasconcelos, many people consider her to be the greatest female arm wrestler of all time, with something like 34 WAF world titles to her name. There's good reason for that claim of her being the GOAT of female arm wrestling. She stands only at about 5'1" tall, very compact, yet she is in the open weight category, a power-based puller, someone who has been incredibly dominant for an incredibly long time, until Barbora Bajciova from Slovakia entered into the fray about 2 years ago in respect to coming for that #1 rank. It was at the East vs. West tournament that she defeated Gabriella for the first time. I was there. I got to commentate the event. It was an amazing match. Barbora won 3-2 that night after Gabriella was leading 2-0. Fast forward another year or so, they face again, and once again, the result ends up being 3-2 to Barbora with a victory after Gabriella was leading. Now, this is an interesting one. I got to spend some time with Gabriella Vasconcelos when I was at the Knuckles Up tournament in January this year, and I got to ask her, well, like, what does it take for you to catch Barbora? And Gabby described to me that she feels like her peak force is higher than Barbora. She feels like in any sort of one-round match, she's certain she's going to get victory. But as the match goes on with that, the long arm and the leverage of 122 kilos, 6'2" Barbora Bajciova, Gabriella's hand starts to really gas. Gabriella's hand starts to open up and she starts to lose access to her finishing power. She can't contain, get her opponent inside her cup, and therefore starts to have no ability to get down pressure on towards the end. Now, we do see a period of time where Gabriella, usually in around 3 or 4, in each of these matches where she's ultimately lost, loses her hand and wrist, but still is able to, in the defensive position, hold off Barbora's top roll for quite a considerable amount of time. Now, if I'm looking at this and I try to imagine a shape or a plan or a training approach or a training focus, if I was Gabriella Vasconcelos, there's always choices. Do you try to make your fingers and your wrist stronger so that you never lose your wrist? Do you try to make your side pressure better so that once your wrist goes, it doesn't matter? Or do you just totally change technique? I did interestingly ask Gabriella on the day, I said, if you had to do a king's move to beat Barbora, would you do it? And she said, no, I'd prefer to take the loss than ever use a king's move. So don't expect Gabriella Vasconcelos to ever employ a king's move against Barbora. Not that that would be the correct move for her anyway, given that she is the shorter, levered opponent out of the two. It would be very difficult, and biomechanically it wouldn't make sense to do it against someone like Barbora, who commands the high ground with a longer lever, bigger hand. But back to the options of how does Gabriella Vasconcelos actually defeat Barbora? For me, when I look at the matches, Gabriella's winning the first 2 rounds with power. She's containing her wrist. Usually what's then happened is in round 3, she doesn't quite get the pin and loses a hand, and Barbora gets her outside of her shoulder, and then she defends with bicep, pulling through the palm. Now that suggests to me that Gabriella has significant bicep strength and significant pronation through the palm, kind of like the Toddzilla style side pressure, but she doesn't have the endurance to negate Barbora in the top roll. Now, tactically, what you can do, if you think about the way Devin Larratt has explained this concept of give away something so that you can gain something else. Never take what's being given, never fight a losing battle. That's the key. Never fight a losing battle. If you know you're going to ultimately lose a battle, a better choice is to preemptively lose the battle. Now, what I mean by that is you can, if you know that in round 3, your hand and wrist is ultimately going to be taken and you're going to end up outside your shoulder. The critical thing is you can choose to let your hand go earlier and trade for that the ability to keep your shoulder. Now that's something we haven't seen Gabriella do. If Gabriella fights hard in round 3, she loses both her hand and her shoulder, and then she defends with a bicep. If I was Gabby, I'd be thinking about giving my hand away in the setup and becoming a tight version of losing your hand. Something where you can keep your shoulder engaged, keep your fist in line, and we've never seen that play out. If Gabriella Vasconcelos can get round 3, it's over. So she really only needs one round where she can't win round 3 traditionally like she does win rounds 1 and 2. But round 3, let the wrist go, jam the shoulder up, and then arm wrestle like this. Maybe that's a solution. That's a solution that I would try if I was in Gabriella's position. And look, the only other really options are to strengthen the fingers so much so that the top roll doesn't crack the hand open in round 3. Arm wrestling is ultimately a game where there's inside opportunities, outside opportunities. Now, strengthening your fingers is saying, I'm just going to get so strong that I'm going to force you inside. Strengthening, without strengthening anything, just changing tactics from letting your wrist go and committing your shoulder, that's kind of, it is an inside move by coming forward with the shoulder and the base of the palm, but it can also be an outside move in the ultimate sort of Todd roll style top roll. So interesting stuff. Anyway, you let me know, can Gabriella Vasconcelos ever reclaim the overall #1 rank? I'd like to think she can. The matches are so close, 3-2, but Barbora, you got to give her respect. She is the #1. She's done it twice in a row now, so there's no doubting she is the #1 ranked arm wrestler in the world for females, the female Levan. But I know that it's Gabriella's mission. Spending time with her at Knuckles Up, it's her obsession. And as it should be, is to get back that #1 overall rank. She's had it for a long time. She wants it again. Let me know in the comments section if you think she'll ever do it.